Many believers assume that sharing every word God places on their heart is a sign of spiritual honesty or strong faith. But sometimes, premature exposure is the fastest way to disrupt the very process God is trying to complete in you. In the next few minutes, we will explore why silence is often the highest form of obedience and how to protect the sacred things that aren't yet ready for the world to see. You just received a new vision, or felt God leading you into a fresh chapter, and the first thing you did was tell a close friend or post a cryptic update online. But instead of finding encouragement, you met raised eyebrows, skeptical advice, or even worse, cold indifference. Suddenly, that initial fire starts to fade. You feel confused. In that moment, you begin to wonder, did I mishear God? Or did I simply expose my heart before my conviction was strong enough to hold it? The truth is, there are seasons where silence is the greatest protector of your faith. We need discernment to know what belongs to the secret place and what belongs to the light. If this speaks to something in your life right now, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. To understand why we struggle to stay quiet, we must first look at how God operates in the seasons of hidden preparation. Sometimes the holiest work God is doing in your life is the part nobody is allowed to see yet. There are seasons where everything around you feels silent. It is a place where prayers seem to vanish into the void, and your every ambition is shrouded in a veil of secrecy. We often call these hidden seasons. You must understand that God keeping you in the dark is not a delay, nor is it because He has forgotten you. The truth is, some things are simply too fragile to withstand premature exposure. A blazing sun can nourish a mature tree, but it will wither a sprout that has only just emerged. Look at the laws of life. Before a branch can reach for the sky, the seed must accept the solitude of the earth to form a deep, unshakable root system. This unseen formation is the bedrock for every future breakthrough. God is not just protecting the outcome, He is protecting the process of who you are becoming. Have you ever felt your soul stirring toward a new direction, yet found yourself without the words to explain it to anyone? Do not rush to reveal it. Secrecy in this season is not denial, it is development. He is shifting you from being hidden to being formed. God is never silent because He is stagnant. He is silent because He is building the root, not the image. And the danger begins when something God is still forming gets pushed into public space before it can stand. The moment you speak something sacred too early, you do not just reveal it, you expose it to voices. The greatest mistake we often make is turning a private spiritual process into a public social one. Once it enters that social space, it is no longer just in God's hands. It becomes subject to opinions, expectations, and projections. It becomes a social process. In our modern world, we are obsessed with public processing. We share emotions before they have matured, seeking validation before we have developed conviction. But have you ever stopped to ask, do the people around you even have the capacity to hold what God is doing in you? It is not always that people are malicious. It is that they lack the spiritual bandwidth for your calling. When you speak too soon, you shift the power of defining your experience from God to your environment. The result is internal confusion. You begin to struggle with borrowed doubt. Your clarity is weakened. Your obedience is disrupted. You lose the frequency of God's voice in the static of everyone else's advice. Don't let the noise of the crowd drown out the whisper of the Spirit. And that damage usually shows up in three places first: what God promised, what you are fighting, and where you are about to go. Have you ever wondered if the stagnation you feel isn't because God stopped working, but because you unintentionally exposed what He was still growing? We often worry about the process being slow, but the real danger is in the exposure being fast. If premature exposure is the real threat, where does it usually happen first? What gets exposed too early usually breaks in one of three places first: your vision, your wounds, or your direction. First, consider dreams before they have roots. God-given dreams often arrive while the bearer is still maturing on the inside. The problem isn't that the dream is wrong, it's that the audience is wrong, the season is wrong, and the exposure is premature. A dream may be strong, but your faith might still be fragile. When you place a budding vision under the weight of external scrutiny, it erodes your internal conviction. Second, our struggles while they are still open wounds. This is not about resisting wise counsel. The point is this: raw pain placed in careless hands only becomes deeper pain. A bleeding struggle should never be turned into a public conversation. Do not confuse healing support with emotional leakage. You must learn to speak from your healing, not from your hemorrhaging. Finally, there is your next move before it is established. When God begins to shift your direction, the instinct is often to speak just to ease your own anxiety, but explaining it too soon can weaken the power of your obedience. Remember, loving people can still become wrong voices. Not every caring voice is a confirming voice. Your next move needs to be established before it is explained. All three of these areas share a single truth. They are in a state of formation, making them dangerously susceptible to the distortion of outside noise. So the real question is no longer whether you should share. The real question is, who has earned access to what God is shaping in you? The issue is not whether people love you. The issue is whether they can hold you without distorting what God is doing. Silence only has value when it is tied to discernment. This is not about being silent with everyone. It is about knowing who is safe, when the time is ripe, and what is still in process. You must remember, access must be earned. Not every believer is automatically a safe listener. Agreement is not the same as maturity. So, how do you identify a safe person? They must be spiritually steady, emotionally clean, and capable of holding your vision without trying to control it. There are people who love you deeply, but lack the tenderness required to shield a fragile dream. We are not just learning to share less, we are learning to share wisely. When you find someone with the capacity to hold what God is shaping, your vision finds its sanctuary. And once discernment enters the picture, silence stops feeling like fear and starts looking like strength. What you expose too early, you force to survive voices God never assigned to it. Spiritual maturity is not measured by how openly you speak, but by how faithfully you guard what is still holy. Ultimately, sacred silence is not withdrawal. It is not insecurity, and it is certainly not hiding from people. It is the mature stewardship of what is sacred. Some things need privacy, some things need a process, and some things need protection before they ever need a platform. The fruit of this silence is clearer discernment, stronger inner stability, and a cleaner obedience. You find yourself less dependent on external validation. Maturity is not saying everything honestly to everyone. Maturity is knowing what belongs in the secret place until God says otherwise. You no longer feel the urge to post, tell, or explain every stage of your journey the moment it happens. You stop using the approval of others as proof that you are on the right track. Your strength is found in the secret, and when the heart understands that, the rest of the message can finally land where it needs to. Ultimately, we must realize that God never requires silence to limit or isolate you. Sacred silence is an essential part of spiritual formation, a sanctuary where holy things are given the time to take root before they ever meet the public eye. God is not hiding your vision to keep it from you. He is hiding it to protect it for you. If you've walked through this reflection with me, you are someone learning the art of discernment, choosing to faithfully guard what God is shaping in your soul. You are growing into a deeper, quieter, and more stable maturity, protecting what God is forming together. I'd love to hear which part of this message resonated with your journey today, or perhaps one small thing you'll start doing differently to guard your heart. Feel free to share your thoughts. If you found encouragement here and want to continue growing in wisdom on this faith journey, I invite you to join our community for the messages ahead. Rest in the secret place, for He is still at work.